Listen, I don't do this share your trauma online shit, but if you've ever seen your dead kid's name carved into a goddamn tree in knee-deep snow, you'd need to scream it into the void too. I'm Hank, 48. Been a ranger in Rothrock State Forest for 22 years. Last Tuesday, I was checking trail markers after that freak February blizzard, the kind where snow screams when the wind hits it. My boots were crusted with ice, fingers numb inside my gloves. Just me, the creak of ancient pines. Routine stuff, till I hit the Black Moshannon cutoff. The official blaze, gone, replaced by a chunk of rotten birchwood nailed crookedly to the trunk. Carved deep, like someone used a pocket knife while shaking. Ellie, my daughter's name. The one I buried 3 winters ago after the ice on Pine Creek gave way. My breath stopped. Ellie was 8. She hated this trail, too steep, too dark, always begging to turn back, but there it was. Her name, in that messy kindergarten scroll she used when she'd sneak my field notebook to draw butterflies. The arrow below it pointed off-trail straight into the Widow's Ravine, a near-vertical drop choked with deadfalls, impossible to navigate in summer, let alone 3 feet of snow. I touched the carving and the wood felt warm like it had just been cut. But the worst part? The snow around the sign. No footprints, no drag marks, just pristine powder right up to the base like the sign grew there overnight. And the smell. Wet pennies mixed with her strawberry shampoo. I'd know that scent anywhere. I still keep her half-empty bottle in my truck. I followed the arrow. Stupid. Ranger training says never chase ghosts, but my legs moved like they weren't mine. The ravine's edge was a white void, wind howling like a banshee. Then I saw it. A single set of tracks leading down the cliff face, not adult-sized, child-sized. Ellie's old snow boots left prints shaped like tiny hearts. She'd made me carve them in with a knife. These tracks were identical, and they weren't sinking into the snow. They floated on top as if whatever made them weighed nothing. My radio crackled. "Hank, you copy? Weather's turning nasty." I tried to respond, but my throat was frozen shut. The tracks vanished where the cliff dropped straight down, but the arrow's direction? It led to the exact spot where Ellie's mitten washed up after they'd pulled her out. I ran back screaming her name, snow blinding me, until I tripped over something soft. Not a root. A bundle of her favorite things. A waterlogged Beanie Baby, the penguin she called Captain Frost, a snapped shoelace from her left boot, and a folded note in my handwriting, except I never wrote it. It read, "Daddy, the cold isn't scary down here, but the things that live under the ice, they miss you." My blood turned to slush. Ellie never called me Daddy. She said Papa since I was a ranger, only I called her Ellie Bell. And the note. The paper was the same thermal map I'd used to mark her recovery site. I burned it in my truck's heater, but the ashes didn't float. They crawled toward the windshield like black spiders. When I looked up, a figure stood 20 yards off. Small, hood up, one mittened hand raised, holding Ellie's missing red mitten. I didn't wait. Drove straight to the ranger station, slammed the door, and told my boss I quit. He just stared at my boots, mud-caked, but the snow on them was black, like it had been stained. "You went to the ravine," he said, not a question. Then he slid a file across the desk. Photos of the sign before I found it. Same carving, same arrow, but the date stamp? January 12th, 2021. The day Ellie died. My hand shook so bad I dropped the file. Inside were footprints from that day, adult-sized, leading away from the ravine. But the stride, it was mine, except I was at the hospital with her body when these were taken. The last photo showed the sign freshly nailed up, snow untouched. And in the corner, a tiny handprint on the birch bark, glowing faintly blue in the flash. I moved to Florida yesterday. sold my truck, my house, even Ellie's grave plot. But this morning, woke up to find my patio covered in snow in March. And in the center, a perfect heart-shaped imprint. Beside it, a single red mitten, stuffed with black ice. I'm burning it now as I type this. But the worst part? The snow outside my window, it's still falling. And it's the exact shade of blue as Ellie's lips when they pulled her from the creek. I don't sleep anymore. Just stare at the heater, waiting for the ashes to crawl again. Story 2. Fuck me sideways. I've never posted online before, but if you've ever had your car eat itself in the middle of fucking nowhere, you'd need to. Scream into the void, too. I'm Jess, 29, driving my beat-up Subaru back to Pittsburgh after a solo hike on Backbone Mountain last January. Temperature gauge read -15 degrees Fahrenheit, windshield wipers frozen mid-swing, and the radio died, spitting static from some AM preacher ranting about winter's teeth. I pulled over at mile marker 47, the kind of place where the trees look like skeletons holding their breath when my engine coughed and died. Not a sputter, a gasp, like it choked on the cold. Silence hit so hard I could hear my own heartbeat in my molars. I popped the hood, breath fogging the air, and froze. My battery was gone. Not stolen, replaced. Same make, same size, but this one pulsed. Warm as a feverish dog, humming like a beehive trapped in metal. And the frost? It wasn't melting off it, it was weeping inward. Droplets crawling up the casing toward the terminals like tiny white spiders. I touched it with my glove, and the humming changed pitch, low and throaty, like something gargling. The smell hit next, ozone and thawing meat. Then I saw the wires, not copper. Thin, black roots snaking from the terminals into the engine block, pulsing with a faint blue light. My stomach dropped. I'd seen roots like that before, in my grandma's garden, where she buried dead things to feed the land. I fumbled for my phone. Dead, of course. Then the humming stopped. The battery went ice cold, frost freezing solid in seconds. And from the driver's side window, knock, knock, knock. Not a branch, deliberate. I turned slow, heart hammering against my ribs, and saw him pressed against the glass. A man? Maybe. Face all wrong, skin stretched too tight, eyes like polished river stones. He smiled, lips cracking at the corners, and mouthed words I felt more than heard. She's hungry. My daughter's name, Lily. I'd written it on the sun visor in glitter pen. He tapped the glass again, and the frost melted where his finger touched, leaving a trail of black sludge. I kicked the door open. He was already gone. No footprints in the snow, just a single steaming paw print beside the tire. I ran for the woods, boots sinking in powder when my headlights flared to life. Blinding white, no key in the ignition. The battery's hum became a voice, crackling through the radio. Lily's cold, Jess. Bring her to the mountain. I turned back. The car was rocking, like something heavy was shifting inside the engine. The black roots now crawled over the hood, leaving frostburn scars in the paint. I grabbed my emergency flare, lit it with shaking hands, and hurled it at the battery. It didn't sizzle. It screamed, a high-pitched shriek that shattered the windshield, and the roots retracted like burned worms. The engine died. For good. The tow truck arrived an hour later.
Big Dave, who's hauled my Subaru out of snowdrift since I was 16, just stared at the battery when I showed him. His face went pale. "Jess, that ain't a battery." He pried it out with tire irons, gloves steaming where he touched it. Underneath, the engine block was carved with tiny symbols like antlers and frozen tears and was still warm. Dave dumped the thing in a snowbank. It sank slowly, like the snow was liquid. As he hooked my car up, he whispered, "Don't tell anyone. Some things up here, they borrow." But when I looked back at the snowbank, the battery was gone, and the tow truck's engine, it started humming that same damn tune. I sold the Subaru for $200 to a junkyard in Frostburg. Still wake up at 3:03 a.m. every time it snows. The exact time my engine died. My hands stay numb no matter the season. And if I hold a AA battery too long, frost blooms inside it, weeping upward like tiny white spiders. Last week, I found a single black root under Lily's bed, thin as hair, pulsing faintly blue. I burned it, but the smell lingered, ozone and thawing meat. Dave called yesterday, voice shaking. "Jess, that battery is in my shop now, humming your name. And the symbols? They're moving." I'm boarding up the windows tonight. But here's the real horror. Lily started humming that tune in her sleep. When I asked her why, she said, "The cold lady wants to play, Mama. She says she's hungry." I don't sleep anymore. I just sit by the heater, watching the frost crawl up the glass.
Story 3. I'm typing this one one-handed, because the other's still shaking 48 hours later. Fuck your "just a dream" comments. Name's Riggs, 52. Been hauling coal trailers through the WV holler since Reagan was president. Last Tuesday, Whiteout hit Route 11-9 near Mate 1 so hard my GPS screamed, recalculating in a voice like a dying goat. Visibility? Zip. Just me, my Peterbilt, and the scream of wind trying to peel the cab off the chassis. Then, headlights. A snowplow. Big county rig, cutting through the blizzard like it wasn't even there. I'd never been so grateful to see anything in my life. Followed it for miles, taillights glowing like demon eyes in the soup. Felt safe? Stupid. Here's what I didn't notice till it was too late. The road behind that plow wasn't cleared. Worse, snow got deeper, drifts piled higher like it was pushing the storm toward me. And the silence. Christ, the silence. Real plows roar like jet engines, but this thing moved soundless. Not even a tire hum, just gliding. I squinted at its lights. Off. Pitch black where the beams should have been, but the snow still parted like Moses' Red Sea. My blood went cold when I saw the cab. No driver, no shadow, no movement, just an empty seat under that frosted windshield. But the engine, running. I could feel the vibration through my own tires. Then the plow slowed, and I realized it was waiting for me to pass. I floored it, heart slamming against my ribs. As I pulled alongside, I saw why the windshield was frosted from the inside. Thick, milky ice like breath trapped in a tomb. And pressed against the glass, a handprint. Small, child-sized, but the fingers, they were too long, bending backward at the knuckles like broken twigs. The engine revved up as I passed, this wet, gurgling roar like a throat full of mud. And the plow's blade dug in, throwing up snow that didn't melt when it hit my hood. It steamed, smelled like wet pennies and rotting potatoes. I glanced in my mirror. The plow was gone, vanished. But the road behind me? Fresh tire tracks.
My tire tracks, leading backward toward where the plow had been. I pulled over, boots sinking into snow that felt warm under the ice. My rig's engine cut out, sucked dead like a vacuum. Then the knocking started. Not on the door, under the hood. Slow, deliberate thuds like something testing the bolts. I popped the hood, flashlight beam shaking, and froze. My battery was gone. In its place, a chunk of raw coal, glowing dull red, veins of black ice crawling over the terminals. Frost bloomed upward from it, forming words on the radiator. She misses your heat. My ex-wife's voice, in my head. She died in a house fire last winter, froze to death waiting for the furnace repair I never made. The coal pulsed, and the words melted into a child's drawing, a stick figure man burning, and a little girl holding his hand. My daughter, buried at 6. I ran, left the rig, ran through snow that clung like hands till I collapsed at a gas station 2 miles down. Old Bessie behind the counter took one look at my face and shoved a thermos of tar black coffee in my hands. County plow's been dead 6 months, Riggs, she rasped, wiping the counter with a rag that reeked of kerosene. Driver froze solid in his cab during the '03 blizzard. They say he still drives, but only for men who left someone to die cold. I didn't sleep that night, just stared at my rental truck's hood, waiting. At dawn, I found it. A single coal fragment on the driver's seat, still warm, still weeping black ice. And carved on the frost on the windshield, next time, bring her. I sold my Peterbilt for scrap yesterday, bought a bus ticket to Florida. But last night in Tampa, I woke to my AC unit sputtering, not blowing cold, spitting snow. And on the rental car's hood this morning, a perfect handprint. Small, backward bent fingers. The ice didn't melt. It crawled toward the door like a spider. I'm boarding up the windows now. But the real horror? When I called Bessie to beg for answers, she just whispered, "Riggs, that plow's waiting at your ex-wife's grave, and your girl, she's smiling." I don't sleep. I just sit by the heater, watching the frost climb the walls, waiting for the silence to start again.